Okay, so I have just 9:01 right now. I'll just jump into a couple quick housekeeping items before I introduce our guest today. So I've talked with Pat and Dawn, the chairs, and since we're several weeks into this now, and it looks like we're going to have some easing of the restrictions. I think we're going to switch from doing a bi-weekly format to more of an as-needed format. So we talked about our next call will be Friday, June 5th. I'll obviously send out details, but I figured we'll check in after the June rent is due and see how things are going and if there's anything that you all need. At that point, I expect FAAR to be reopened. We will certainly be complying with any sort of restrictions on the number of people, but we are right now in a mode of starting to think about reopening the office and getting back to more normal operations. So we'll meet via Zoom again in June. Then we hope to have our regularly scheduled July meeting in person. And then we will look to the fall. We already had a class scheduled with the Virginia Realtors for September, hoping that will stay as scheduled. And then we are looking to reschedule the VRLTA update with Chip Dix. That was supposed to be this month. In fact, it was supposed to be next week. We are looking to reschedule that in person in the fall. I feel like those of you who've taken that class, Chip is one of those ones you need to have in the classroom with him. I don't know that it will translate well into a virtual format, and he's not doing that yet. With that being said, Richmond Association did reach out to see if we would be interested in partnering on a smaller virtual class. I don't know if that's something that's interesting to folks. It would not be in place of the VRLTA. It would be in addition to. It would be completely virtual. It would all be run through Richmond. And if I'm not mistaken, the price point was about $65 for, I think, 3 hours. If that's something that people are interested in, just pop it in the comments to me to say, yes, I would be interested in a class with RAR. If not, we won't do it. They're sort of figuring out whether they want to do that or just wait until they can reschedule VRLTA, but that is an option. I also wanted to share, if you have seen, let's see, if you have seen what VAR has sent out. Oops, I think I just clicked my video. They have sent out in their latest email version that there's going to be property management virtual CE coming up. It's not announced yet, but they say to watch your email that there'll be more information coming out that will cover laws and forms changes for 2020. So that's another education option. As soon as that comes out and I get that information, I will forward it along to the whole group. I also wanted to make sure I'll draw your attention, and I'll put this link in the chat. Realtor Magazine had an article on what property managers can do if tenants can't pay. I'm sure you all already have lots of experience with that, but just in case you want to see it, I will put it in the chat. So I think I had a question from Dom. Let me see. Yes, so the class I think will be with Chip. That is my understanding. Don't quote me on that. It's possible that it would be, well, the one with the RAR is definitely with Chip. This class with VAR is probably with Aaron Barton, but I'm not sure about that. So I did pop that Realtor Magazine link in there. So we'll see if Richmond comes through with that class, but that would be with Chip. They were very excited about it to start with. Then they kind of backed off of it, and we're thinking that, I guess because we're looking at some easing, maybe they'd be able to schedule their VRLTA class pretty soon. They wouldn't need that kind of holdover. But we will investigate that and see if it's a possibility. So if you are interested in a mini class with Chip, in addition to the class that we are going to host, just say in the chat, yes, I'm interested, and I'll get a feel for, because if our folks aren't interested, we're not even going to bother going down the road of partnering with them. So that's all my housekeeping stuff. With that, I want to turn the floor over to Matt Lovall. Matt is with Permatree, and I'll say this is my second time talking to Matt, and he's in his car twice now. So Permatree is rocking and rolling and is out there doing lots of work. So Matt is here because we talked to him with one of my videos that's going to be coming out next week about their disinfectants process they have. So Matt, I will turn it over to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we're just wanting to talk about our Santa Effect program. What we're doing is there's a couple different ways we're doing it now. We were going through and we have a special like aerator that we disinfect all the air inside the house. And then we wipe down and clean all the touch points in the house as well, like uh, doorknobs, hard surfaces, countertops, everything that you would touch. So we're kind of doing it two different ways. It's kind of a two-stage thing we're doing now. Um, and this kills all different kinds of bacteria, all the different viruses, including COVID-19. So we're seeing some of our realtors use it as something to help new homeowners make sure they're safe, they're in a clean environment when they move into their new houses. We've had a few people use it as we have a bi-weekly one that we've been doing for touch points. So if you're doing like open houses, having lots of viewings of the house, especially if you have people that are still living in it, they're having us come in after we're doing the walkthroughs and everything. That way, even if someone were to come in, and happen to have anything on them or carrying a bacteria, virus, something like that, we're able to take care of that and make sure they're coming back to a clean environment. And
Do we have any questions from folks about how that application could work for property management? Are you seeing demand and lots of questions from your tenants or your owners about getting that kind of deep clean?
Yeah, we've gotten a few questions. Mostly the questions are, is it safe for me and my family? Is it safe to be around? The stuff we use is called Vital Oxide. It's been used for about 25 years to clean drinking water. It kills all the viruses, bacteria, and everything, but it's very safe to be around. You can ingest it. Shouldn't really, but you can ingest it if in small quantities. But everything we do is everyone be out for the time that we apply it, but as soon as it's done, you can come right back in. There's no like lasting effects of fumes and stuff like that.
So the property manager's on the call. Do you have any questions for Matt? Are you hearing stuff from your owners about that kind of service and they're looking for it, or any feedback?
I have a question. I just kind of did, how long does it take? So if we had, say, not an open house, but we had some people go through a property, how long does it take after for it to be sanitized? And how does the pricing work? Is it based on square footage, or what's kind of the general pricing point to kind of understand the cost impact?
Yeah, so it takes depending on which one we do. So we do the touch point service that can take up to right around an hour. If we're just doing the touch point surfaces, so it's basically wiping down everything rather than the full air disinfecting in there. That's $250 for one-time service. If you wanted to do, we do an ongoing bi-weekly service, and that's $550 for 3 services, and they come out bi-weekly to do that. But if you want the entire house, so if like in a move-in situation, so after the old tenants move out and you have a new one coming in, we recommend doing that one. That one's $1 per square foot, and that's more of a deep clean. We're looking at normal size house, about 100 or 1,700 square feet, taking about 2 hours, and on up.
So Matt, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to do a consultation for a house, what is the best way to contact you? I'm going to put it in the chat.
Sure, you can give me a call at and my work phone number is 540-729-8244. And
Okay.
that'll get a hold of me, or you can call our offices at 540. Should know our number, huh?
You want them to call you directly, but that's okay.
Yeah, call me directly. That would be your best way. And if it's a different area from what I'm going to be able to make it out, I'll be able to send one of our other inspectors out there.
So I have put Matt's name and number in the chat. So click on your chat feature. It should be on the bottom of your screen. You can open the chat box and you can grab his number. If anybody has any follow-up questions, I think Don, go ahead.
Can you just confirm the price per square foot again for me?
It's $1 per square foot.
Okay.
So that's for the really deep clean one. So that's one where we're wiping down all the service areas, but then we're also basically have like a backpack fog machine where we, clean all the air, every surface in the entire house.
Okay, thank you.
It just takes a lot of time.
Is there a dry time for that? Dry wait time? Should it be completely, vacant and empty when you do it?
We can do it when it's occupied. Obviously, it can't be in there while we're doing it, but it takes about 5 to 7 minutes to dry. We're not going to be like actively soaking anything, so it shouldn't be. There's no issues with that really.
So is there a time lapse between once you guys have finished to the time that it's allowed to be entered then, since they aren't allowed to be in there while you're doing it? I would suspect that it's for inhalation issues.
Right. Yeah. Everything we have is not a fog per se. It's bigger particles than that. So everything should be dry and on surfaces. There's not really any lag time between about 3 to 5 minutes after we're done. But by the time we clean up all our equipment and stuff and get everything out, everything should be safe to re-enter.
Thank you.
If you all think of any questions after Matt is gone, just send them to me and I'll make sure that I email them over to them. So Matt, thank you so much. Permatree's been a long time affiliate marketing partner of ours. We are very grateful for their support. And thank you for quickly adjusting to the current reality and giving our folks some new products for their clients. So Matt, thank you. I know that you're on the road and probably on the way to your next job. So we'll let you go. And it was nice to see you this morning.
And thank you all very much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all. What's new? What's going on? Now we're at what's today? May 8th. How did May payment go? Are you still in the midst of tracking people down? How's it going?
I don't know how everyone else did. We had most pay rent, so I think we're right in where we typically would be as far as the usual suspects. I think there's maybe some of the usual suspects actually paid rent, and then some of the unusual suspects didn't. So it kind of balanced out. But I think for the most part, there's been really no effect on mine anyway. And overall, as a company, I think just about where we would be this time of year anyway. So just curious what everyone else had as far as May rent.
We're same as, we haven't really seen much of an impact either with what we're doing. We're kind of similar to where we were last month actually. So so looking pretty good actually.
Same here, pretty much the same place that we were last month. There's about 3 to 5 folks who are COVID affected that are slowing in paying their rent, but they are still paying it and understand that it's still due. Aside from, I think I already told you guys some of the modifications that we had some owners make to leases and reducing rents for a period of time. I think my largest impact and still negotiating and trying to figure out what they're going to pay, they've paid a little bit, are my retail spaces. That's where I've had the largest impact and no rent being paid there.
And how are you handling that, Dawn?
Oh gosh, negotiations. Actually, some of the big wigs, the very big corporate companies have hired agents to negotiate their rent abatement. And so that's what we're doing. We're in the throes of that. So the agent and myself, because I'm the agent as well, are the middle people. So we're going back and forth, and then we're going back to our prospective, people in charge, owners or franchise company, what have you, and then going back with another counter. So it's like a game of tennis is really how I feel. So
Okay. So where do you think things will settle? I don't know. I mean, are July, August, are these folks in danger of losing their business, or do you think they'll be able to work something out? And once we start to reopen, which, light at the end of the tunnel seems like it's at least creeping that way pretty shortly.
I really think it depends on the type of business and how established they were. Some of your larger corporations like Outback or IHOP or, companies like that who are much larger and they are franchises, they are going to think fare much better than your smaller local people like a buffet or a hibachi or whatever. They're going to have a much more difficult time surviving, because I think even for those folks, some of the curbside stuff isn't that popular for them as they are for your big chain names. So I think it's going to depend on who you are and how rooted you are into the industry.
Okay. I have a question for y'all just overall. So we were contacted by Thurman Brisbane earlier this week. They are looking for volunteers to help place some of their clients. And I've dug a little deeper to figure out who those people are. These are folks who are not associated with any of the housing programs. They're what they call self-resolvers. They don't qualify. There's limited capacity for housing programs. So these are people who are trying to find housing on their own. What kind of churn are you seeing in rentals right now, and how much turnover is there? We're going to put a call out. We're not going to handle anything through FAAR, obviously, but we are going to put, if people are interested in doing some, I guess, pro bono kind of work with some clients from Thurman Brisbane who obviously have significant barriers to renting, we're going to put that call out for people who want to. They can go straight to Thurman Brisbane. But with no evictions or anything right now, military orders on hold, how much movement are you seeing in and out of places?
I've had a lot of renewals. Some people who probably wouldn't have renewed that ended up renewing just because they didn't want to deal with it. As far as the military thing, though, there's actually some people who are going to be military who are going to start moving, and they're allowed to move. I believe it's as long as they're within the continental U.S., they can kind of move themselves to get to their next spot, as opposed to, you know what I mean? And then they just get reimbursed type of thing by the military. So that's going to start up again. I had one tenant who was kind of on hold waiting for this to all kind of play through, and he just contacted me and said, yeah, they're going to go ahead and do that and move on their own. So they're going to be leaving too. But I think as far as properties, for me, vacant properties they're hot. I end up with multiple applications, real quick. I'm not showing any, unoccupied properties. So I don't really know how that's going. That must be a nightmare. But vacant ones, it seems like there's enough people in the pipeline looking to move to the area that don't have a lot of choices, and it's probably going to increase rents too. I've marked them probably a little higher than I might have, and they go really fast.
Okay.
I'm experiencing the same thing. They're going very fast. There's a lot of applicants out there. We have multiple applicants on, and it is the vacant properties as opposed to the occupied. So, and military moving, and a lot more renewals than we thought were going to happen. And they're actually doing it because, like you said, Don, they don't want to deal with the moving.
Okay.
Finding a new place and trying to coordinate the two, because we're finding that a little difficult too. We're having to, because when we put into the MRAS and put date available, we found we're having to move that, because we had a couple situations where we had someone apply, but then we immediately reach out to the tenant and say, hey, what's an update on your orders? And they were extended. So we had to tell the applicant, we can't process your app, but it just wastes everybody's time. So we take it off.
Yeah. Okay. So are you anticipating come July 1? So correct me if I'm wrong, but starting July 1, the source of income stuff goes into effect. Is that going to complicate things? I mean, if you're raised rents and you're having lots of competition, I'd imagine those people who are utilizing those vouchers are probably going to be on the lower end of the qualification scales anyway. I mean, are you anticipating any issues or challenges going forward? And I've already started to see some of the leading edge of articles about fair housing issues related to COVID and all that. So what do you think that will mean for us at all, our market?
I think it's going to make too much of a difference, actually. I think, you know, it might in some ways be a good thing in terms of kind of bringing awareness to some of people that do have these housing choice vouchers and who are good tenants and who would otherwise qualify except for the income, source of income. So maybe it's a good thing to kind of bring awareness to the good side of that rather than the stigma that's always been attached to it.
Okay. Dawn?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I've never really had a big issue with Section 8 and processing Section 8. I mean, you still have the rest of your criteria, and as long as someone, you know, any individual who qualifies in every other aspect, and that just happens to be their income, really big of a deal. And I do kind of, I'd like to hear what some of you guys have to say about, you know, given the fact July 1 source of income, some of our folks now, their source of income, I've already had people knocking on the door who they were laid off, so now they're getting unemployment and that's their source of income. How do you?
That makes me really nervous, to be honest.
Yeah, me too, but I do feel like it's something that we have to think about now.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to clarify, the new source of income requirement pertains to people with more than 3 properties for rent, correct?
I thought it was 2, or is it 3?
That's 4.
I think it's 4, isn't it?
It's
Is it
four.
Oh, well, there you go.
So it's not going to affect a wide group of people any more than it already does, really.
And that's true, yeah, that is true.
But you also need to bear in mind your folks who have a few properties that they, you know, have different partnership names for or entity names for, because they're going to be considered, you know, we talked about that a little bit as far as the spirit of the law. They are going.
Howdy.
Howdy. We had a pop-in, yay. So as far as that goes, someone who owns a few properties, but yet the ownership name is different, it would still apply to them.
Well, I mean, are we the police of that? I mean, some of that's hard to really tell what, I mean, if they fill out an agreement with us and put it in writing that this is the name of the owner of the company and it's different from maybe another one that they're a partner in or something like that, that sounds like it's going to be impossible to go down that rabbit hole and figure it all out.
Let me reach out to Erin at VAR. I mean, I know that this was one of those ones during the session that they fought strongly, but knew we just didn't have the votes to defeat. And it's been a long time in coming. I mean, it's discussed almost every session since I've been around. But I think that VAR fought strongly, like we always do, to really be realistic about the liability for our agents. That, like you said, we are not the police. It is not your job or responsibility to check records, to check every LLC to see if they're associated with your owner. Let me double check on that. I imagine that VAR is going to be putting out a ton of stuff on this as it gets a little closer to prepare property managers. I think at this point, with remote working and so much focus on the association health plan legislation and what's going on with COVID, that they've, you know, other things have dominated the news right now. But it is only May 8th. We've got, you know, a little bit of time before it goes into effect. I would imagine starting up June 1, we'll see a lot of stuff on this. At least that I haven't heard that from them, but I mean, they know this is a big deal for property managers. So I will reach out and double check to see when we can expect some of that information to start flowing out, and from a liability perspective, what their interpretation is for that onus on agents.
That sounds good. And that's one of the biggest reasons why they have worked so hard for property management to get the VRLTA and the VLTA to mirror one another, because there again, that's why on the front page of our management agreement, it says how many properties you have. But if they go to Virginia Beach and purchase one, it's not in your area, so it's not going to be, you know, they're not going to ask you to manage it. You have no idea. How are you to know that? And that was one of Chip Dick's biggest arguments.
Yeah, that just puts an absolute undue responsibility on the agents. You know, that's just, it's not feasible for y'all to do that. So, okay, other questions, comments?
How many people are on this call?
I've got 16.
Okay. We have dwindled in numbers. We started out at what, 100 or so?
think that first time we had about 45, that first call.
Wow.
Well, I did announce, if anybody who's coming on a little late, I did announce that we're not going to be meeting bi-weekly anymore. We're going to meet more sort of on an as-needed basis. And the next video call we have will be Friday, June 5th. Again, we'll do it right after, rent is due. Make sure that you're getting what you need from us, from your state association, from the national, and then we will move ahead, hopefully in person, with our regularly scheduled meeting in July. And I do anticipate that we will continue to have a virtual component going forward. We certainly understand that even though things may be opening up, there may be people who do not want to come out. Maybe it's even just more convenient for you not to have to drive in from wherever you're living. So we're going to continue with that virtual component. I think FAAR, I know FAAR is going to incorporate that across the board. We will do what we can to continue providing as much virtual content in addition to getting people back in the classroom. I think that collaboration and that one-on-one is important, and we will continue to offer that as well. So stay tuned for how we are going to move forward and adjust and accommodate everybody's needs.
Very cool.
Yep, that sounds good.
Other questions or comments before we go? Anybody having any challenges? Anything you're not seeing from us or from VAR that we could communicate to Jane?
I was just wondering where Frances got her hair done.
This is how I really look.
Yeah, it was very cool. I like that. Yeah.
So you guys want to see what I look like when I get out of bed.
Well, if anybody needs anything, hopefully you've been getting your needs met through FAAR remotely. We've done our best to keep services going, but we will, I believe, be reopening very soon to start with on an appointment-only basis, but you will be able to come to the office and pick up sign writers or anything else you need. As I said, we've already been doing that. We've been leaving them outside and having that touchless delivery. And then we are looking, as long as the governor's expected loosening comes true and proceeds along the course that he laid out, we are looking at a June fully reopened time. So hopefully it will not be too far until we can welcome you in the office if you'd like to come in and get whatever you need to get done.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Okay. Dawn, anything else?
No, just to all of you guys out there who are mothers, happy Mother's Day this weekend.
Oh yeah, happy Mother's Day, guys.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to be a nice weekend.
It's going to be cold.
Cold, yeah.
So if you have any baby plants, you better cover them up. They're going to freeze their heinies off on Saturday night.
Yes,
We'll be talking about how hot it is. I'm going to enjoy the cool weather because it's going to be hot before we know it.
Oh, I'm with you on that. I'm not complaining. I missed that we didn't have any snow. I love snow. So
I know. No snow days.
no.
Chris, were you going to say something?
No, but we've had quite a bit of COVID days, so that made up for it, I guess.
It's been one never-ending snow day without the snow, without the fun, and no hot chocolate.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, you guys have a great weekend. Good to see you all.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
everybody.